Get comfortable with English in comfort. This is your English listening practice podcast to help you learn and improve naturally.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to English in Comfort, the podcast where you can relax and learn English in the most cozy way possible.
Whether you're lying down, getting ready to sleep, or just enjoying some quiet time, we're here to help you improve your English through listening, stories, and conversations.
I'm Emily.
And I'm Liam.
Every episode, we cover a new topic to make learning feel natural and stress-free.
And today, we're talking about something really, really useful: the shadowing technique.
If you've never heard of it before, shadowing is a way to practice listening and speaking at the same time. It's a great tool for building your skills and confidence.
And don't worry, we'll explain how it works and give you tips to make it easier.
So find a comfortable spot. You might want to grab a cup of tea or wrap yourself in a blanket.
Or just close your eyes and listen. Let's get started.
So shadowing is basically when you listen to someone speaking in English and repeat what they're saying right after.
Like being someone's echo, but not in a creepy way. You're just copying their words, their tone, even the way they pause.
I don't think it's just about copying, though. It's more about practicing how English sounds and how it feels to speak it.
Yeah, kind of like when you're trying to match a friend's accent for fun. You're not just repeating, you're paying attention to how they say things.
And it pushes you to listen carefully while speaking at the same time. It's like multitasking, but for English.
Some people find this difficult, though. They would be like, what if I can't keep up? What if they're talking too fast?
Well, why not starting by picking something easy, like a short video or even a sentence at a time? You don't have to follow every single word perfectly. Shadowing helps with pronunciation so much. Like, the more you repeat, the more your mouth just gets used to the sounds.
Yeah, it's like muscle memory. If you keep at it, the rhythm and intonation start to feel natural.
It helps you feel more confident, too. Like, when you actually say something out loud, it makes speaking less stressful.
I get that. But for me, I think the biggest thing is how it drills vocabulary and grammar into your brain. You hear it, you say it, and it sticks.
True. It's almost like you're training your brain to recognize patterns without even realizing it.
And your ears, too. You start catching things you wouldn't normally notice, like how people connect words or where they pause.
And when you practice that over and over, you are not just understanding, you are actually using it yourself.
That's the tricky part, though. You can know a ton of words, but if you don't practice saying them, they just stay in your head.
So, when it comes to practicing shadowing, I think starting small is the best way to go. Like, for beginners, even repeating single words or short phrases is a good start. Something simple, like children's stories. They're slow, clear, and easy to follow.
Yeah, but wouldn't that get boring after a while? I'd say mix it up. Even if you're a beginner, why not try short dialogues or something with more variety? It keeps things interesting.
I get your point, but for someone just starting, too much variety can be overwhelming. That's why I'd stick to one thing at a time until it feels comfortable. Then move on.
Fair, but I still think you can push yourself a little. Like for intermediate learners, podcasts or audiobooks are great. You've got real conversations, natural flow, and you hear how people actually talk.
I agree with that. Dialogues and podcasts are perfect for that level. They're not too fast and they have a lot of everyday vocabulary. But for advanced learners, I'd say speeches or even movies are the way to go.
Movies, yeah. You get slang, accents, and all that. Plus, it's fun to mimic a character's voice or the way they say things.
True, but speeches are a good option too. They're usually clear and well-paced, so it's easier to catch every word. As I always say, the key is consistency. Whatever you choose, you have to stick with it long enough to see progress. If you want to make shadowing work, start small. Don't rush into long sentences or full paragraphs. Pick short segments and focus on getting them right.
Even with short stuff, you've got to pay attention to details like intonation. Some people just repeat the words without copying how they're said, and that kind of misses the point.
The stress patterns, pauses, and rhythm. Those are just as important as the words themselves. It's not just saying it, it's saying it how a native speaker would.
I'd say pick audio that's super clear, though. Some recordings are too fast or have background noise, and that makes it frustrating, especially at the start.
True. Clear materials make a huge difference, and staying relaxed helps too. If you're too tense, it's harder to focus.
Yeah, and if you're trying to fix tricky sounds, you might not even notice what you're doing wrong unless someone points it out. Asking for feedback is underrated.
Feedback is helpful, but for someone practicing alone, recording yourself can work too. Then you can compare how you sound to the original.
I guess that's one way to do it, but listening to your own voice can feel weird.
It does at first, but it gets easier. And when you hear the progress you're making, it's worth it.
Fair enough. Whatever works, as long as you're improving how you sound.
Shadowing is great, but pairing it with other techniques makes it even more effective. Like reading, for example, it's a good way to pick up new vocabulary and understand grammar better.
Reading's helpful. It can get dull if you're just staring at words on a page. I think mixing in videos or apps keeps it more interesting.
That's true. But writing can be just as useful. It helps with spelling and forming thoughts clearly, which is important when you're practicing communication.
I don't know if everyone would stick with writing, though. Not everyone likes sitting down to do that kind of work. Apps or visual aids might feel easier for some people.
Maybe, but writing doesn't have to be formal. Even short diary entries or quick notes can help. You don't need to overthink it.
Fair point. I guess combining stuff like that with shadowing gives you a more complete way to learn. Videos, for example, let you see gestures and expressions, which can make conversations feel more natural.
That's a good addition. Watching how people move or react in conversations can be just as important as what they're saying. One big mistake I see is not taking time to understand what you're repeating. If you're just copying the sounds without knowing what they mean, it's not helping as much as it could.
True. I think another mistake is expecting to get it perfect right away. It takes time. You have to be patient with yourself.
Patience is important, but so is focus. If you're too distracted, you can miss little details, like how words are stressed or where pauses happen. Those small things make a difference in sounding natural.
Also, people sometimes pick material that's too hard for their level. If it's too fast or the vocabulary is too advanced, it can get frustrating.
Right, which is why I always suggest starting with simpler materials and working your way up. It's better to build a solid foundation than to rush and get overwhelmed.
Some people also forget to check their pronunciation. Even if you're shadowing, you might be saying something slightly off without realizing it.
That's why recording yourself can help. Listening back gives you a chance to notice things you might miss while speaking. Shadowing is such a versatile technique. You can adjust it to fit your style or goals, whether that's improving your pronunciation, building confidence, or just getting more comfortable with English. Give it a shot and see how it works for you.
Yeah, and don't forget to mix it with other methods. Try writing, watching videos, or even just chatting with friends in English. The more ways you practice, the more natural it'll feel.
And I say this and repeat it. Don't rush yourself. Progress takes time. Even small improvements can add up if you stick with it.
The main thing is to enjoy it. If you're having fun, you'll want to keep going.
Thanks for spending time with us today.
Yeah, we hope you found this helpful. Keep practicing, stay consistent, and don't be afraid to make mistakes. They're part of learning.
That's right.
Take care, and happy learning.
Oh, before we end, let's go over some words and phrases that may be new or unfamiliar to you. Echo, meaning a repeated sound or idea. Example, her voice echoed in the room as she spoke. Tone, meaning the quality or feeling in someone's voice. Example, his tone sounded serious during the meeting. Rhythm, meaning a regular pattern of sounds or movements. Example, you can improve your English by listening to the rhythm of native speakers. Intonation, meaning the rise and fall of the voice in speaking. Example, pay attention to intonation when asking questions. Multitasking, meaning doing more than one thing at the same time. Example, listening to a podcast while cooking is a great way to practice multitasking. Emphasis, meaning special importance or stress placed on something. Example, she put emphasis on the word important to make her point clear. Drills, meaning exercises or repeated activities to practice a skill. Example: language drills can help you master pronunciation. Patterns, meaning repeated or regular ways something happens. Example: learning sentence patterns can make speaking easier. Bridges the gap, meaning to connect two things and make them closer or easier to understand. Example: watching English videos bridges the gap between learning and real-life conversations. Slang, meaning informal words or phrases used in casual speech. Example: teenagers often use slang that can be hard to understand. Segments, meaning parts or sections of something. Example: divide your study time into short segments to stay focused. Thanks again, everyone, and don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more interesting videos. Keep practicing and keep learning English.